is already full of spectacular and insane creatures, and with movies constantly redefining what reality could be like, we're forced to imagine if these crazy ideas were real. But what if I told you that in some cases, they're not that far off? That being said, we've got an unreal list of, in fact, very real animals that you didn't know existed. Until now. Just wait until number 1. You aren't even gonna believe me. Number 10. The Pygmy Jerboa. Being tied for the world's smallest rodent in the Guinness Book of World Records, the Pygmy Jerboa is unrealistically tiny. This tiny fella's body grows to a maximum length shorter than a human index finger. If that wasn't already a package for complete admiration of its cuteness, this wacky little dude's tail grows to be double the length of the rest of its body. Weighing less than half a cup of table sugar, the Pygmy Jerboa knows how to get around. Maneuvering its environment by hopping with its long legs, the Pygmy Jerboa burrows in the ground for shelter and produces offspring while foraging above the ground in search of seeds for food. One would think they could make a great pet much like a gerbil or a hamster, but unfortunately they are pretty rare as pets. I mean seriously, just try to imagine trying to capture one of these little guys. They're like miniature kangaroos. Number 9. The Mudskipper. The biggest difference between us and fish is the fact that we walk on land, am I right? Fish don't possess the ability to leave the water and move on a hard surface. Unless you're a mudskipper, of course. Before we discovered this little guy, we had the same idea. Fish are fish. They swim in water, and that's really about it. But the mudskipper is having none of that. As the only fish to walk, mate, and live outside of the water, mudskippers utilize pouches that function a lot like the way we use scuba gear to breathe underwater. Except for this time, they hold water so the mudskipper can breathe above water. This enables them to spend a majority of their time outside of said water. Growing to about a foot long, mudskippers possess an uncanny ability to use their front fins as legs. These legs are incredibly nimble and capable of climbing small limbs and launching the mudskipper well over 2 feet. Much like land creatures, the mudskipper is territorial over its own section of muddy land. With fins attached to its back, the mudskipper flares them up in order to defend its own territory that it refuses to share with other mudskippers. Oftentimes, you can find them fighting over their sections. So the next time someone calls you a fish out of water, remember some fish actually live outside of the water. Number 8. Kalugo. Our next guest closely resembles a lemur, but the Kalugo is not a lemur. It is actually more closely associated with a primate, which makes it even more incredibly strange. Because of its ability to glide much further distances through the forest sets it far apart from any other gliding mammal. It's equipped to glide further, faster, and with much more control than a simple flying squirrel. The Kalugo's adaptations enable it to glide more than half a football field. Unfortunately, the Kalugo is not very much of an adept climber. Lacking opposable thumbs, their tree climbing ability typically consists of small hops and leaps to the next branch. Considering their habitat consists of the forest in Indonesia and the Philippines, gliding is the difference between life and death for these little guys here. Number 7. The Japanese Spider Crab. Crabs are already pretty creepy, and the thought of handling one is already kinda chilling with all those legs of it. With 8 long appendages that are capable of regenerating, we wouldn't really want to see them get too large. Unfortunately for us, the Japanese spider crab is exactly that fear. The legs of a Japanese spider crab can grow longer than a fully grown human. Thankfully though, these creatures exist in deep water miles off the coast of Japan. Otherwise, a day at the beach might resemble a remake of War of the Worlds. Though the Japanese spider crab is relatively peaceful. Using camouflage to avoid predators, this bottom dweller uses its rugged appearance to blend in with the rocky seafloor. It also adorns an extremely thick exoskeleton that protects it from octopus. Despite its gentle nature, the Japanese spider crab still possesses claws that can cause serious injury if not handled correctly. These claws are used to subdue prey, as the Japanese spider crab is a surprisingly good sneak attack artist. Its uncanny ability to attach any object to its exterior gives it endless camouflage. Number 6. Axolotl. Being fairly soft with slightly transparent skin, the axolotl is no danger to a human. They're gentle creatures that resemble a salamander while breathing and living underwater. With their 3 sets of gills, the axolotl is in a class of its own. Also known as the Mexican walking fish, the axolotl is insanely unique. Being capable of walking on land as an amphibian and possessing the ability of regeneration, the axolotl has much in common with a couple of our other guests on this list. So what about them sets them apart from their counterparts? Regeneration is a common attribute in many animals, mostly crustaceans, but the difference between crustaceans and the axolotl is in their internal organs. Crustaceans do not possess the same internal makeups as most animals. They're mostly muscle with very small brains and thick outer shells. No other animal on the planet has the ability to regenerate internal organs such as the heart and brain. This has made the axolotl highly coveted as scientists try to uncover the origins of this ability and how to contain it. Future research could provide information as to how we as humans can adopt this characteristic and regenerate our own heart, brain, and even eyes. Number 5. The Thorny Dragon. Our next guest comes straight out of Jurassic Park. The Thorny Dragon is so unique in its ability and appearance, it is the sole member of its genus. Closely resembling a stegosaurus, this four-legged reptile is equipped with sharp thorns along the entire surface of its skin. This enables it to protect itself from possible consumption of predators, but also being a reptile in the Australian desert, water is hard to come by. That being said, the spines are also extremely absorbent of water. Any moisture that comes into contact with the surface of the Thorny Dragon's skin is immediately absorbed. The spines help increase the amount of surface area for dew to collect on during the nighttime. Albeit, thorns are not an unseen characteristic in animals. Plenty of other creatures and plants possess thorns as a defense mechanism. But an even more insane ability the Thorny Dragon possesses is a false head on its back. When confronted by a predator, the Thorny Dragon lowers its real head in between its front legs and presents its false head. This protects its head, eyes, mouth, and nose from any biting, clawing, or pecking, which is a pretty intelligent function if you ask me. Number 4. The Pangolin. Are you ready for a shot of nostalgia? Good, because our next animal friend is a blast from the past. One of the most common and favorite Pokemon, Sandshrew, is based on this little guy, the Pangolin. The Pangolin is unlike any other mammal in the animal kingdom. Possessing traits much like that of a reptile, the Pangolin utilizes an array of hard scales that protect it from predators and sharp objects in the wild. As nocturnal tree dwellers who possess scales, the Pangolin is an insanely unique creature. Aside from its exterior defenses, the Pangolin executes a special defense strategy that maximizes its characteristics. You see, the Pangolin's underside is void of any protective shielding or scales. This represents a targetable area for predators to take advantage of. The Pangolin does realize this, so don't worry. So how does the Pangolin protect its vulnerable areas? By rolling into a ball. The Pangolin's defensive posture includes tucking its head, neck, and legs into its body and flaring out the scales around its back and tail, much like how you perform a somersault. This provides an impenetrable position that protects the softer and more delicate parts of its body. Number 3. The Mantis Shrimp. When we think of shrimps, we typically see them as anything but fierce. As some of the smallest and puniest animals in the marine ecosystem, shrimps are often dismissed as weak and inferior, which is probably why your older brother constantly calls you a shrimp. But fear no more, my shrimp brethren, because this shrimp is capable of an incredible ability that strikes fear and cements itself as a force to be reckoned with. The Mantis Shrimp is equipped with a full arsenal of weaponry to ward off any predator or foe that doesn't think twice of messing with it. Firstly, its exterior is radiantly colored to send a message to anyone who crosses its path. And if that's not enough to send large predators swimming away, the Mantis Shrimp can unleash its powerful claws to stab, dismember, and knock out its prey. Mantis Shrimp is capable of thrusting its claws so fast that it actually boils the water around it. Some species of Mantis Shrimp are capable of growing to more than a foot long. That's bigger than a human foot. One would think only a lobster or crab can get that big as a crustacean, but the shrimp got tired of being pushed around by its older brothers and came to its own. Number 2. The Sea Lamprey. Are you ready for another creepy yet fascinating creature that lives amongst us? This parasitic worm-like creature lives in the depths of the ocean, sucking the life out of large fish and other hosts. This is honestly a creature you'd think it only exists in movies. It would certainly be a horror movie, as the sea lamprey might mistake you for a large fish as it attaches its circular, jawless mouth to your skin and begin to draw your blood and vital fluids. With its various sharp teeth arranged in a circular position, the sea lamprey fastens itself to its host and can travel with it to any depth, temperature, or type of water. Live near a lake and think you're free? Think again, because the sea lamprey has not only been found in the ocean, but it's also been located in the Great Lakes as well. The sea lamprey can tolerate a multitude of different marine or freshwater environments. Its parasitic abilities disable its host's blood from clotting, further enabling it to draw more fluid and eventually drain its host completely. Before we move on, do me a favor. My analytics show that only about 15% of you watching are actually subscribed. Come on guys, what's up with that? Can you guys please hit the subscribe button? You guys watch my videos every day anyway, so you might as well subscribe and keep up to date with every video we put out. Number 1. The glowing sucker octopus. Shield your eyes, this little guy has an incredibly unique ability. With their 8 appendages, ability to contort into even the smallest of crevices, and large heads, octopus are already unique and unparalleled in nature. So how do you make them even more strange? That, of course, is by giving them a superpower. The glowing sucker octopus is not only fully capable of anything that any other octopus can do, but it can also glow in the dark. In the natural world, we call this bioluminescence. This luminescent fella is equipped with special cells aligned in a single row along its appendages. These special cells possess a unique ability to emit light from their bodies. This ability provides multiple uses. The most important of them would be the ability to ward off predators, as the stunning array of light confuses and shocks potential enemies. The second most important function is to lure in prey. Small fish and crustaceans are attracted to the flashing lights and are curious to see what it might be, only to be consumed. Were you surprised with any of these creatures? Would you like to see some more? If so, click on any of the 2 videos above the screen. With all that said and done, that's our video for today, folks, and I will see you all next time. Later, everybody.